Welcome to Amazing World Channel.
Maria Demertzis, the deputy director of Bruegel, said she felt progress had been made after Brexit Secretary David Davis and the EU's chief negotiator Michel Barnier held the latest round of talks this week. Speaking to BBC News, the economic think tank chief was quizzed on how much negotiation she thought was going on, and if the EU was merely waiting for the UK step up to the mark on its own negotiation stance. She said it depends on what perspective you take. The EU loses out from a bad deal with the UK on any of these points, including the future trade deal. So if you were to see it that way, a good agreement really is a win-win situation, or indeed a lossless situation. So no, I think this is very much a negotiation, and will remain so. Close quote. Getty bullet. BBC News. Maria Demertzis warned a bad deal would not be beneficial for anyone involved. The EU loses out from a bad deal with the UK on any of these points, including the future trade deal. So if you were to see it that way, a good agreement really is a win-win situation. Maria Demertzis. However, Ms. Demertzis admitted there was a huge asymmetry on the interest shown in Brexit in Brussels. She said, "I think there's a huge asymmetry in the rate of interest that's been shown in the UK than in the EU, as you rightly pointed out. There are so many other things to think about in the EU, including the future of the Euro architecture. But I think negotiations with the UK are an important part. If they're not done properly, there will be a lot to be lost." Close quote. The comments come after Mr. Davis and Mr. Barnier held a press conference after the latest round of talks. WED, September 13, 2017. Mr. Davis said the UK was making decisive steps forward in its negotiations with the EU. The Brexiteer also insisted he had held very constructive talks on the financial settlement with Mr. Barnier, adding there was scope to explore a transitional deal, as set out by Prime Minister Theresa May in her landmark Florence speech. Mr. Barnier confirmed he was happy with the clarity on certain points made by Mrs. May. He said the Prime Minister's speech in Florence has created a new dynamic in the negotiations. "We have managed to create clarity on some points, but for others, we are not there yet, and more work remains to be done. We will keep working with a constructive spirit until we reach a deal on the essential principles on the UK's withdrawal,"